Welcome to Education Wave Success Made Easy Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants. In this video, we are going to cover the topic pollen development. Now, this pollen grains represent the male gametophyte, right? And as the anther matures, as the anther bilobe structure of anther matures, you could see the microspore tetrads, and each microspore tetrad develops into pollen grains. Now, we are here to discuss the structure of pollen grains. So, you could see that this pollen grain outer surface is kind of look like very rough, right? So, this outer covering, this rough outer covering is known as exine part, and it also has a inner layer. It also has a second layer which is just beneath it, and which is known as the inside layer is known as intine. Okay. Now, pollen grains are generally spherical, measuring 25 to 50 micrometers in diameter. Now, the two layered wall, the hard outer layer, is known as exine. Okay. And it also has a inner one, which is inner wall of the pollen grain is known as intine. Now, this exine part is kind of interesting because it is made up of sporopollenin, which is very interesting because it can withstand high temperature. So, you will see that even at high temperature, the pollen grains will retain their viability. They cannot easily degrade by high temperature, or even you could not easily degrade them by using strong acids. No enzymes can degrade sporopollenin. Okay, so you could see that these pollen grains are very well preserved as fossils too, because if they are not able to degrade easily, we can store it for longer time too. So, because of this sporopollenin, the pollen grains are also preserved as fossils. But this point is kind of very important to notice here, that this exine part, if this exine part is not continuous on the pollen grain. There is a point where this sporopollenin is sent, and that point is known as germ pore, or you could see that pore is known as germ pore. So, exine has prominent aperture where the sporopollenin is absent. Okay. Now, the inner wall of the pollen grain is called intine, which is continuous. The exine part is not continuous, but the intine part is continuous, and it is made up of cellulose and pectin. When the pollen grain is mature, it contains two cells. So, this large portion of cell you could see here is vegetative cell. Why the vegetative cell is larger and this generative cell is very small? Because because of they both have different functions. This vegetative cell is kind of big just because it has abundant food reserve. Okay, but this generative cell does not need that much space because it will going to develop into two male gametes. So it does not need that much space because it is not functioning as a storage cell. So this vegetative cell is bigger because it has food reserve, and it is also having a large irregular shaped nucleus. But this one has a small nucleus, and you could see that this cell is going to mitotically divide into two cells, which will be further known as male gametes. Okay, now this stage is called two cell stage of pollen grain, because you could see that there is vegetative cell, then there is generative cell. So as the name suggests that this cell is going to generate into two male gametes. Okay, now the male gametes have been what developed. So I could make two cell here. Now this two cell stage has been transformed into three cell stage. One is vegetative, and there are two male gametes. So now there are three cell. The three cell stage. And now our pollen grain is finally mature, and it is ready to what? It is ready to fuse with the female reproductive organ. Okay? So, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, comment, and like.